Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a recap of every product that received the seal of approval in 2021, ranging from mice to mouse pads to keyboards and even a monitor. Shocking stuff. And if you're new to my channel or just don't know what the seal of approval is, it is basically an arbitrary award that I give to products that I have a really good experience with or find them to be the best in their respective classes. So there's really not too much objectivity behind it, aside from the objectivity of my personal opinion, of course. So I'm going to get started with some of the more, not obscure products, but I'm going to end with mice is what I'm trying to say. But before I get into the products, I want to quickly mention that there is a playlist on my channel with all of the reviews for products that have gotten the seal of approval over the years. So I'll leave a link to it in the description. It's on the front page of my channel. I think it's a pretty good resource. But yeah, time for the 2021 recap. So this is the only keyboard to receive the seal of approval in 2021, the Wooting 2HE. This is not my main keyboard though. I gave it the seal of approval, but wow, this full-size layout really kills it for me. They're coming out with a 60% version. But yeah, if you're a fan of Apex Pro or adjustable actuation point Hall effect switches, this is a great keyboard. Out of the box, everything's solid aside from the fucking layout. And next up is going to be the monitor. Wait, how am I going to do this? Okay, perfect. You can see this is the Acer Fire Legend 390 Hertz monitor. It's 1080p, but I really only have good things to say about it. It is crazy how good of a value this monitor is for $350 at Micro Center. If you live outside the US or not near a Micro Center, the price is probably going to be $100 to $200 higher, but I'm just thinking back to summer of 2020 when I paid $700 for the Asus ROG Swift 360 Hz, and that thing had shit motion clarity and was just overall a far worse monitor than this, which is literally half the price. So I'm not really a monitor reviewer, but this is easily the best monitor I've ever used. And now moving past monitors and keyboards, we get to the most exciting class of products, the mousepad. You can see the smile on my face because I get to talk about mousepads. So this is the Razer Strider. This is basically Razer's take on a Heian clone, their version of the GTFX, and the quality is really fucking good. Razer, I had never been a fan of their mousepads, but they really got it right with the Strider in terms of stitching and rubber backing. This mousepad is $30, and it's a good value for what it is. It's not my personal favorite Heian clone, like roughly textured mousepad, but it's definitely a good value, and I recommend you watch my review if you're in the market for one, and especially if you live outside the US, because global availability on mousepads is nice. Speaking of mousepads that don't have global availability, in my opinion, the best mousepads of the year, the Lethal Gaming Gear mousepads. This is the Saturn and the Venus. I gave the seal of approval to both, and I like these mousepads so much for a few reasons. For one, the pricing. It's $30 for this XL size, which is nearly identical to Artisan XL. Obviously, the quality, if you've watched my reviews of these pads, you know that the stitched edges and rubber backing are great, and they're also 4mm thick, so they do have a nice, just overall high-quality feeling to them. But beyond that, I really enjoy these because they offer an alternative to multiple Artisan pads, and they are not just OEM surfaces. So the Saturn is not an identical clone of the Zero, but it plays similarly, and it even has an advantage of not having the hair issue where hairs get stuck in the weave, even though my pad is looking quite dirty at the moment because it did hit my floor face down. Now we have the not the Jupiter, the Venus. I apologize. These planet pads making me go crazy. This is not exactly an Otsu mid, but this is the closest thing on the market to a Hayate Otsu alternative. I've had the Venus for months, and it is one of my favorite speed pads on the market, even including Artisan pads. It's very low initial friction, but something about the texture allows it to play fast, but you still feel like there's adequate control. It's a really unique speed surface, and I am a fan of it. The one con with the Lethal Gaming Gear mousepads is if you're outside the US, the shipping's going to be quite expensive, so it's around the same price as an Artisan at that point, but I know they are talking to retailers in like Australia and Europe, so hopefully there will be options because these pads are great and I feel like more people should get their hands on them. Now, next up in the mousepad department, please let this end, is the actual Artisan Hayate Otsu, because they did make an update to this pad in 2021. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Otsu. It's an Artisan pad, so the quality is perfect and the surface feels great. Go watch my Otsu review if you're interested in the intricacies of the surface, but yeah, overall you get what you pay for with Artisan. Next up is the Odin Gaming Infinity. This is an early 2021 seal of approval. The Infinity was really the first Heian clone to get everything right for $30. Since then, obviously a lot of companies have released Heian clones, but at the time it was really like one of the only good alternatives for the Heian, and it still is a great value. In terms of the actual texture, it is close to the Heian. There is less like stopping power. In general, I prefer the texture to something like the Razer Strider, and honestly, the Infinity is still, I think, an underrated mousepad. And now moving on to the last mousepad, I am ecstatic. The Xraypad Aqua Control 2. I just posted my review for this a few days ago. It's the new release from Xraypad, which is an improved version of the Aqua Control Plus in terms of quality. The stitched edges are much lower, close to being flush with the surface. They're quite good, honestly. And the rubber base is improved compared to the Aqua Control Plus. In terms of texture, it's a sort of like grainy, lightly textured pad. Low initial friction, but a controlled like glide in terms of dynamic friction. And oh my god, it's at a good price. And that is all for mouse pads. Holy shit. Now it is time for mice. Which honestly, this year, not many mice received the seal of approval. For the sake of the video, and since I didn't make a seal of approval recap last year, I will include the Superlight and the XM1R, which I think released in December of 2020. So close enough, and you know, they just diversify the mice. And just as a side note, I do like to keep the seal of approval on mice pretty limited to things I consistently use. Sometimes I will post a very positive review of a mouse, and I will get comments asking like, why isn't there a seal of approval? And it just, when I'm reviewing a mouse, I know which I'm going to consistently come back to and really think are a cut above the rest. And that's basically what these are for my personal like hand size, grip style, and preferences. I will say of all of these mice, easily the three I use the most in day-to-day use when I'm not like testing other products are the G Pro X Superlight, the Starlight 12. It used to be this Zeus Small, and now I use the Pegasus Medium with these core pad grips. It's crazy good mouse. And the Zowie S2C, which is the most surprising and probably most underrated mouse of the year, in my opinion. I don't know exactly why, but it is so good and just so much better than the old S2 felt. And honestly, the Zowie C Series in general was a huge positive surprise. 3 of the 4 lineups I tried, I actually wound up giving the seal of approval to. Just not the FK. I think I complained that the buttons were too stiff, and I just prefer shapes with bigger humps for claw grip. But obviously shape is preference, and Zowie has a lot of shapes, so if you know what Zowie shape you prefer, I strongly recommend giving the C Series updated version a shot, because the full package is just really good. The stock cable is more than good enough in a bungee. It feels nearly wireless. I did upgrade the cable on this S2C. It's a cable from Lethal Gaming Gear. I'll make a video in the coming weeks. But yeah, that's really for the Zowie C Series. The Orochi V2, probably one of the mice I've used least after the review. I think it's a great like general wireless mouse, and it's good for fingertip grip. For me with larger hands, it is a tiny mouse. Like, I don't know, you would literally need to have the hands of a baby to palm grip it. So claw gripping it long term, I can't do it, but if you have smaller hands and play claw or fingertip, I think you'll like it a lot. And it's just generally a better version of the G305, not an identical shape, but similar features. And it does use a battery, and I just think it's lighter, better, but not a top mouse for me anymore. I do want to mention that the clicks on my Orochi over time have become creakier and worse feeling in terms of quality, which was something I feared in my initial review, because there is this removable top shell. And my theory is that the more times you take it off and put it back on, you're like scraping the place, what's this called, where it hits the plunger. on the Switch, so I just feel like there might be some issues with that over time. I noticed them on my copy at least. So the Orochi is still a really good option for its price and a great small wireless mouse in general, but I figured I would just give a quick update on it. Now moving on to the final mouse that received the seal of approval in the year 2021 of the Gregorian calendar, right, is the Finalmouse Starlight 12. I think by now most people know the deal with the Starlights. It is $190. They're only sold in limited drops, but it is at the same time the lightest wireless mouse, this medium size weighing 49 grams, and this small size, which is the same as the Ultralight 2, weighing 43 grams. Despite the light weights, at least on my copies, they are very structurally sound. They do have a magnesium alloy shell, which is just a unique feature. Like, all of these mice are plastic, terrible for the environment. Finalmouse could never. But yeah, just in general, I've talked about these mice so much. I do have reviews posted for everything if you want a detailed explanation. The biggest drawback of Finalmouse is, of course, the very limited availability of these. But if you can get your hands on one and you are looking for a lightweight wireless mouse, I think it will exceed your expectations. But yeah, that's going to be all for the 2021 Seal of Approval recap. And now it's time just for a few honorable mentions, literal mentions. I'm not going to go into detail about these. The MZ1 could have gotten the Seal of Approval if it was wireless. Come on, Xraypad, what are you waiting for? The Rocket Cone Pro Air, this had a few QC issues and just very dull clicks, but this is a great ergo full package, not gonna lie. And the Zigen NP01S, I probably would have given this mouse the seal of approval if it had the Zowie stock cable on it. And that is going to be all, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed this all-encompassing roundup of the year 2021. I'll definitely do this annually if it's something people seem to like. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you did. Peace. And check out the Seal of Approval playlist for full reviews of all of the products I mentioned in this video.